Okay, so I'll be sharing with you today on wealth unleashed from vision to reality. Okay, it's going to be an extremely great time. Okay, so if you can see my screen, let me know. Okay, I want to believe you can see my screen. All right, so we're looking at wealth unleashed from vision to reality. My name is Oladipupo Clements. I'm a trusted expert in wealth creation, business growth, and strategy. I've got over 2 decades of working experience. I'm a highly sought after conference speaker, and I'm also the best-selling author of Financial Freedom Master Guide, a book that if you don't currently have, your library is not complete. I currently serve as the CEO of LifePage, both in Nigeria and the United States of America. I've also been privileged to co-found several other companies within the construction and software development sectors. I hold an MBA from Business School Netherlands, and I've got several other degrees and certifications and all of that. But for the purpose of this lecture, this is all that you should know. What's the objective of this particular program? The fundamental here is that I want to help you move from the point of financial crisis to financial freedom, to move you from poverty to prosperity. I want to move you from lack to luxury. That is the objective of this particular program. And I want you to fasten your seatbelt and relax and get ready for something huge. Now, for those of you who have experienced any measure of poverty, I'm not sure that you can intimidate me with poverty. I understand the color of poverty. I've experienced hardship on every level that you can imagine. Now, this is a picture of me. This picture here is a picture of me and my mentor. This was some 21 years ago. This is the picture of the company, the first office that our company, the same LifePage I'm referring to today, started from, some couple of years ago. This was 11 years ago now. Yeah, 11 years ago. This was an old friend of mine. We snapped this picture together. This was like 23 years ago. This was me also some 23 years ago. This was some 18, 17 years ago. And this was another former office. When we outgrew this space, we moved into this other space. Well, that's just to give an idea of the person who is speaking to you. I wasn't born with silver spoon. So I have suffered every degree of poverty. If you have an understanding of what I'm going to share with you today, is someone who has had a first-hand experience with poverty and lack. And if I can be who I am today, then anyone who's joining this call certainly have a greater chance of even success than I did, and even faster, at a faster pace. And that's what I'm going to be sharing here today. So poverty was an experience. I had a first-hand experience. I know the color, I know the taste. So that's that's my story, right? So we want to look at wealth unleashed. We want to look at creating wealth. But let's begin with looking at some of the issues. In your journey to financial freedom, it's important to know that there are 5 levels in that journey. Now, the essence of knowing these 5 levels is so you can determine or ascertain your current state or current location, and then you can chart the course to the next phase that you ought to or you desire to be. The first level, which we're going to take from bottom up, which is number 5 on this chart, is financial crisis. And this is where a lot of people are. Now, there are 2 categories of people in financial crisis. Number 1 are those who don't make money at all. And because everyone is a gifted spender, all of us are talented spender. So whether you make money or not, each day that goes by, you have to incur expenses. And so when you make money, when you don't make money but have to spend, there are three realities that will befall you. Number one, you start to beg for money. Once you run out of people to beg from, then you start borrowing money. When you run out of people to borrow from, what eventually begins to happen is that you start to compromise. You start cutting corners, you start cheating, you start lying, and you start stealing. And that third option can land you in jail. While not the three options, I mean, none of the three options is honorable. The third one can land you in jail and will certainly land you in jail if you don't change your ways. And so this is the category of a lot of people. But the second category of people in financial crisis are even those who have successfully been able to even grow some degree of wealth. They've been able to build a portfolio of fixed assets, but they are very low, on cash flow. They are very low on liquidity, so they have no or low cash flow. And for that reason, even though they are millionaires in assets, but because they are low on cash, they are going to certainly be in financial crisis. So those are two categories of people in financial crisis. Now, I'm taking you through this level so you can begin to, describe your own particular state, and determine where exactly you are. Because if you don't know where you are, we can't take you to where you ought to be. All right. So this is very important. So do you have a job? Or you don't have a job at all? You don't have a means of livelihood. You don't have a means of earning and living. Then you most likely will be in financial crisis. All right. Number two from bottom up, which is 4 on this chart, is financial instability. Financial instability is that point in a person's life where your take home doesn't take you home. Okay. When your take home doesn't take you home, you are actually financially unstable. And this is also where a majority of Nigerians are, and it's not different for most parts of the world. The research report showed that 75% of Nigerians earn less than 100,000 naira a month. And some of these people who earn less than 100,000 naira a month also have family members to cater for, right? So this I still can't wrap my head around living on 100,000 naira or less than 100,000 naira a month. But that's the reality. The figures may be different for different other parts of the world, but the reality is that the population of people whose take home can't take them home is almost the same everywhere else in the world. Because as the cost of living rises and the means of livelihood also is low, the disparity is often what creates this financial instability. Number 3 is financial stability. Now, for this category of people, they enjoy some degree of financial equilibrium. In other words, the income they make is able to cover their livelihood. They are able to live some degree of they're fairly comfortable, so to speak. They're fairly comfortable, okay? And this category of people can even afford to go on periodic family vacation. They live in nice neighborhoods. They even drive good cars. And then, occasionally they enjoy some bits, some good things in life. The only challenge with this category of people who maintain some degree of financial stability or equilibrium is the fact that their entire livelihood depends on their active income. So should anything go wrong with their active source of income, they'll be back to financial instability or financial crisis. So someone like this, if he or she loses his or her, source of active income, they'll be back in financial instability or financial crisis. And this is not where you really want to be, okay? The second level, which is closer to the top, is financial independence. Now, financial independence is that point in your life where the proceed from your assets and investments is capable of meeting your personal and family needs without you having to work another day. So this is what that means. If you earn, say, 30 million naira a year as salary, right, or as income a year, and you decide to quit your job, right, the assets and investment you have built up or acquired, it generates for you 30 million and above, such that it can replace your active source of income. That is what we mean by financial independence. So you are financially independent when the proceeds from your asset and investment can replace your current active source of income. Does that make any sense? All right. So if you can hear me loud and clear, please just type 10 in the chat room. Okay. Right. So if you understand what I'm saying, just type 10. This is very important. And you see, if you don't understand these levels, whatever it is I'm going to share later on won't make any much sense. We need to understand the state where majority of us fall into, so that we can embrace the truth that will bring about our financial freedom. All right. The first level, which is the peak in this journey, is financial freedom. Now, financial freedom, unlike financial independence, is that point in your life where the proceeds from your assets and investments is not only capable of meeting your personal and family needs, but it's also able to extend goodness and kindness to others. And this is so important. You see, the ultimate purpose of the Creator to bless us, all right, is not just to give us peace of mind, just for us to enjoy life, but it's also to be a channel of blessing to other people. So, and this is so important. It's so critical, right? So, and let me be honest with you, what will give you your greatest source of fulfillment is is what you donate, not what you accumulated. All right, not what you acquired, but what you donated. This is so important. On your deathbed, I mean, all of us are going to die someday, right? On your deathbed, what will matter at the end of the day is not how many houses you have. It's not how many cars you've acquired. It's not how many real estate or how many investment, how many companies you built, but the lives that you have impacted. So we need to build and create wealth with a consciousness to leave a legacy. So what separates financial independence from financial freedom, or what separates financial freedom from financial independence, is that one is just prosperity. The other one is also more concerned about posterity. Do you get it? So financial independence is more about you and your family. Financial freedom is about not just you and your family, but also extending goodness and kindness to others. So one is prosperity, the other one is posterity. And that is what gives you the highest level of fulfillment at the end of the day. Because listen to me carefully. How many houses can you live in part-time? How many cars can you drive in part-time? Even if you use a convoy, you'll still be in one. And guess what? Even in that car, you'll still be in one seat. So at the end of the day, it's not just about you. It's about your donation. It's about your contribution. And that's what people remember you for. All right. So it's important that you build wealth with that consciousness, not just for self-aggrandizement. All right. Wealth is very important. Making money is very important. Money may not give you peace, but it will help to enhance and facilitate anything that will bring you peace. All right. So it's important. So we're not in any way underplaying the role of money or the role of wealth in a person's life or in a family's life. But what we're simply saying is that it must be much more than you are too small to be the purpose of this wealth. You are too small to be the purpose of this wealth. Always remember that. Always remember that. Okay. And then another very key thing I need to quickly mention here is the fact that when you are finally armored and you made this money, what next? Then that's when you see how that money is actually a tool. All right. It's not just for you. It's not just about you. So please bear that in mind. And so the goal of this lecture is to move you, anyone that is from financial stability and below. You need this lecture is purely for you, and you have to take it very seriously. If you lose your job today and your income is threatened, you need what we're talking about. If you don't have a job at all, then what we're looking at here today is extremely crucial for you. All right. Do I have a witness in the house? Do I have a witness? Do you have a witness that are you ready? Are you ready for what we want to share now? Are you ready? Tell me you are ready in the room. If you're ready, if you are ready, type I'm ready. I'm ready. Type I'm ready. in the room just to be sure that you are really, really ready. Okay? So, in order to migrate from wherever you are that is undesirable to where you'd love to be, pay attention to this. Pay attention to this triangle. I call it a triangle of life. And please, pay attention to this. This is so critical. Okay? If you want to migrate from financial crisis to financial freedom, or you want to migrate from financial instability to financial freedom, or you want to move from financial stability to financial freedom, or even if you are already financially independent and you want to move to financial freedom, then pay attention to what I'm about to say. There are 3 phases in your life that you must master if you must make that journey successfully. Number 1 is being. You must become. You see, every time you set a financial goal, whatever goal in life you set, you have to ask yourself, who must I become to achieve it? This is so important. So I call that personal transformation. This is the 4th phase, personal transformation. All right? It's about being first. And this is by far the most difficult aspect in your journey to financial freedom. Why? Because it's an aspect of your life that not many people can see. It's an aspect of your life that nothing may be happening all around you. Like you see in the pictures, in my story that I shared earlier, of the story of poverty, the story of lack and hardship, right? At that material point that I showed you those pictures, there was a lot that was already happening internally that most people would not see externally, So I was going through a process, right? And I was undergoing a journey of personal transformation at that point in time. Now, when we talk personal transformation, what exactly are we talking about? We're talking about your belief system. We're talking about who you are becoming, all right? And this is so important. We're talking about your mentality. You see, one of the things I need to let you know is this. In life, you don't attract what you want. You attract who you are. Most times we want the best of life, but we are not becoming the best of life that we desire to see. All right. So this is so critical. Becoming is very, very, very important. So the first phase you must master is your personal transformation, right? And this is why, you have to give a lot of premium to the quality of relationship, the environment in which you go to, or you live. You have to pay serious attention to it. It was John Mason who said, you are the same 5 years from now, except for 2 things. Number 1, the company you keep, and then the books you read. The company you keep and the books you read. Now, these 2 key things impact significantly on your transformation. Let me be honest with you. Who I am today is not exactly what I was 20 years ago. I've gone through, in fact, there was a point in my life some 5-7 years ago where I asked myself that, when did I even become like this, right? Something had shifted in my mind. Something had expanded in my thinking, right? That it was almost impossible for me to ever be poor again, all right? And I could tell. You see, if you take everything I have built, everything I've gotten today, you take it away from me, it won't take me longer than 1 year to replace it, even multiple fold. Why? I have become that kind of a person that can bring it to pass. You know the reason why people will be willing to kill for money? You know the reason why people will steal from others for money is because they don't believe they have the capacity to reproduce it. So when you become, that is the greatest investment. That's the greatest asset that you have. And 2 things that will empower you to become a better and superior version of yourself is who you know, and the company and the books and the information you have. What you know plus who you know is what determines where you go. This is very important. Who you know plus what you know is what determines where you go. So who you know talks about your association. What you know talks about information. And then where you are going is your destination. And the destination in this case is financial freedom, is wealth, right? So it's important that you place premium on knowledge. You place premium on quality relationships. Let me say something here. One of the things I found out early on was the fact that I could never have chosen who my parents were. If we all had the opportunity to choose our parents, we most likely would never have chosen our parents. If we had the opportunity to choose our siblings, we most likely would never have chosen our siblings. All right. But guess what? The power that you and I have is the power to choose our relationships. And so you have to choose it wisely. You have to choose it with a sense of the end in mind. All right. Where you are headed, there are people who are also yearning for it. There are people who are also on that track, who are also on that journey. And there are people already there. All right. There is nothing, you don't really need to reinvent the wheel. What I want to show you on in this particular video is just to show you templates, what it is that some of us have done that produce the result that most people now say, oh, I want to be like this person. All right. And that's pretty much what I want to share with you here. That's the first phase. So personal transformation. So you need to work on your mentality. You need to expose your mind to fresh and new insights. If what brought you here can't take you to where you are going, right? If you are not pleased with where you are, then you need to change something inside of you. Many of us have self-sabotaging thought patterns. Many of us have self-sabotaging belief systems that are robbing us of most of the things that we want to see. And that's why you have to give significant attention. I call this phase of this journey, I call it the foundation for financial freedom. Why? Because it is the unseen part in that journey. Unfortunately, when you see any successful person, rather than copy what they are doing, copy who they are becoming, then you'll be able to reproduce what they do. This is very important. A lot of times you see them drive big cars, they live in fine houses, they travel around the world, and everybody would love to have all those paraphernalia of success, but you don't want to become, because there's a lot of effort that goes into becoming. There's a lot of sacrifices that goes into becoming that most people are not willing to subject themselves to. All right. The second phase is income generation, planning, and application. I told you earlier on that there are three things that will happen once you don't make money. Number one, you start to beg for money. Number two, you start to borrow money. Once you run out of people to beg from, you start borrowing money. And when you run out of people to borrow from, the next thing and option you have left is to start cutting corners and stealing. Now, income generation is what I call the pillars of financial freedom. Listen to me carefully. One of the reasons why you have to place premium on income generation is mainly because you cannot manage or multiply money that you have not yet made. So making money is a fundamental requirement in that journey to financial freedom. So any investment you got to make in your earning capabilities is a very important investment that you need to make. This is so crucial, right? If you can still hear me loud and clear, please just type I can. Just type I can. Just type I can. Just type I can. Type I can. Type I can. All right. So the three phases you need to master in your journey to financial freedom is number one, personal transformation. Number two is income generation, planning, and application. The third phase that you must of a necessity master is asset accumulation, optimization, and retention. Asset accumulation, optimization, and retention. In other words, the income you start to generate, right, is often a product of your active participation. It means that if you don't work, you don't earn. So you want to now begin to convert a substantial sum, a substantial part of that income into assets. Now, assets are any item. It may be intellectual, it may be intangible, it can be tangible. Any asset class that appreciates in value and then puts money in your pocket. So when we say accumulate assets, we are simply saying begin to invest the part of the money you are making. A portion of that money should take care of your present. A portion of that money should take care of the next 2 to 3 years or 5 years. And the next one, the portion of that income also should take care of the next 20 years, the next 10 years of your life. And this is what asset accumulation is about, right? Listen to me carefully. There is a lot of good you will be able to do when you accumulate assets, right? There's a whole lot more that you'll be able to do. There's a lot of good you'll be able to do when you create assets. One beautiful thing about your income is the fact that there are 3 things you can do with your income. Number 1, you can spend it. Number 2, you can waste it. Number 3, you can invest it. You can waste it, you can spend it, and then you can invest it. Foolish people, they waste their money, right? Ordinary and the regular human being out there, average people, they spend money. The third category of people that are wise people, and they invest their money. They multiply money. The only way to multiply money is by investing it in assets. All right. So these 3 phases are critical. Now, you will never outgrow the need to invest in your personal transformation, right? I mean, a few years ago, where I was already a multi-billionaire, and then I had an engagement with a mentor of mine, and the man started saying something. And at a point, I started asking myself, why was I still thinking like this? Now, as a billionaire, I was thinking at a frequency that was below what my mentor was even talking about. Listen to me carefully. If you don't change your thinking, you can't change your life. The state of your life is the state of your heart. And this is one of the most important things. If you can reset, if you can troubleshoot your thinking, many things will fall in place. I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. So let's move on. Let's talk about the ABC of wealth creation. If this is about wealth unleashed, then how do I create the wealth? How do I create the wealth? There are 3 important ingredients, or should I call it requirements, if you want to create wealth. Number 1 is financial intelligence. So A, financial intelligence. B, financial planning. And C, financial discipline. Now, if what I'm sharing here looks like too much work, just consider wealth far from you. That's the truth. I'm sorry if I sounded too blunt or too frank, but that's the reality. That's the reality. The rich always rules over the poor. And the reason why that happens is because, there's something the rich know that the poor don't know. And there's what the rich know and do that the poor don't know and they don't do, certainly. All right. So that's why you have to pay attention to this. So number 1 is financial intelligence. So what is financial intelligence? Let's quickly look at that. Let's look at that. There are 4 key aspects of financial intelligence that you must pay attention to. Number 1 is financial intelligence is what enhances your understanding of how money works, the inner game of money. Money is not the paper bill that you have, that you hold in your hand. Money is a means of exchange of value. So every time I think about money, I'm always thinking, what am I going to give in exchange for the money I need? So if I need $1 million right now, the first thing that starts crossing my mind, that preoccupies my mind, is I start thinking of what am I going to give to the world? What does the world need right now that I can provide that will give me the money I'm looking for? And that's the way the rich thinks. That the poor, when they are thinking of the money they need, they're thinking, who is going to give it to me? Who can I borrow the money from? Who can I beg for the money? The rich think of, what is the problem around me? How can I solve that problem in exchange for the money that I'm looking for? But when you have financial intelligence, that's one of the things it will enhance. It will enhance your understanding of how money works. It will help you to see where money truly hides. I mean, money hides in people, money hides in problems, money hides in products, money hides in places, right? Money hides in platforms, and on and on. We can go on and on, all right? So financial intelligence will enhance your understanding of the true nature of money, of how money truly works, all right? So you don't see paper bill as the real money. You see something a lot more, all right? The next thing financial intelligence will do for you is the fact that it will enhance your understanding of the various vehicles of wealth creation. So there are vehicles that will facilitate your arrival at the financial freedom, at the place called financial freedom. And we're going to look at that in a moment. It will also help you understand the difference between the various components of wealth creation, right? This is so important. There are different components of wealth creation. For example, there is a difference between asset and liabilities. There's a difference between cash flow and profits. There's a difference between compound interest and simple interest. All right. There's a whole lot of difference. And one thing that financial intelligence does for you is that it enhances your understanding in these areas. It also gives you opportunity and the understanding of, the ability to interpret financial statements and make quality decisions. I often say to people that your financial destiny cannot be better than the quality of your financial decisions. And the quality of a financial decision cannot be more superior than the quality of your financial information. So in other words, if you are able to interpret financial statements and make quality decisions based on the data that you have garnered, you are considered to be financially intelligent. And this is so important. Now, unfortunately, the schools don't give us this intelligence. The school can give you academic intelligence, but that will not count. That's why a professor of economics who is not thoroughly schooled in the school of wealth, right, will still end up being broke, right? So somebody can be a chartered accountant and still be scattered financially, right? Because they don't yet understand and they have not yet accumulated financial intelligence. And how do you get financial intelligence if it's not given to us in school? You get it through personal development and capacity building. All right. This is one of those attributes, this is one of the skills, this is one of the things that you will build as you give attention to study, as you give attention to reading, as you give attention to mentorship, and all of that. This is one of the things that will begin to happen to you. There's no hard and fast rule to it. Okay. If you can still hear me, please just type 10. Somebody says there's no audio at all. Please, you may need to check out and check it again. All right. If you can still hear me loud and clear, please type 10. Just type 10. Type 10. The next thing we want to look at is financial planning. Don't forget the ABC of wealth creation are the three things that we're looking at. You want to create wealth, you need financial intelligence. We've established that one, what it will do for you. The second thing you will need is financial planning. Now, what exactly do we mean by financial plan? Essentially, a plan, let's look at a plan in itself. A plan is what connects the bridge between today and tomorrow. I often say to people, if you will not be broke tomorrow, it's from today you will know. From your plan, you can tell whether or not you'll be broke tomorrow. And so this is so important, so important. All right. So there are 5 critical questions you must ask yourself if you must design an effective financial plan. So let me run you through those 5 critical questions. And please follow these simple steps. It's going to be very beneficial if you follow them. The first question you want to ask yourself is, where am I? In order to develop a financial plan, you need to ask yourself very honestly, where am I? Are you in financial crisis? Do you have a means of livelihood? Are you in financial instability or financial stability? Are you financially independent, right? How much do you owe? And how much do you own? I recall one of my great friends, who is also a billionaire today. We're just chatting one time, and then he reminded me of this same question we asked ourselves years back. And when he began to take stock of where he was, he realized that all he had to his name was fry pan, kettle, stove, white-colored television box in his house, and then a rickety, worn-out mattress in his house. That was all he had to his name. He was also very clear about how much he owned, how much he owed. How much you owe is your liabilities. How much you own is your asset. And it's important to examine where exactly you are. This is very, very important. So where am I? This is a question of location. All right. I often say to people, anybody can deceive anybody, but please don't deceive yourself. Don't deceive yourself. Be ruthlessly honest with yourself. Tell yourself the way it is. Right? Very, very important. Number 2 is, where am I going? This is a question of destination. Where am I going? Where am I going? So every question you've asked yourself with respect to what do you own and what you owe are the exact same thing you will need to begin to describe in exactitude where you want to be financially. So in terms of liabilities, what will you have as liabilities? In terms of assets, what will you have as assets? All right. So if it is 10 years from now, if you're developing a financial plan, is it 5 years from now, if it's 10 years from now, all right, you want to begin to set clear goals. So if you are in debt today, you want to say by that time, even if I'm in debt, my asset must be 100 times whatever I'm owing. All right. Right. Because at that point, you would be leveraging other people's resources to even advance your own wealth. I don't know of any wealthy person on planet Earth who is not in debt in some degree of some sort. The only difference between the wealthy and the poor is the fact that the poor use debt to impoverish themselves. So they use it more as a consumable. So it puts them in bondage. For the wealthy, they use debt as a leverage. All right. So this is very important. Where am I going? You have to ascertain that. Now, listen to me carefully. If right now you are 40, what it simply means that by the time 10 years from now, you'll be 50, you put it there. If right now at 40, you are married, but you don't yet have children, or you are married and you have children, how old will each of those children be 10 years from now? Those are the things that will constitute the content of your liabilities. This is so important. All right. The third question you need to ask yourself is, how do I get there? This is where I am. This is where I want to be. How do I get there? This is a question of route. What path do I want to follow? Do I want to follow the path of financial? Or do I want to follow the path of the career path? Right? Do I want to be a professional in the marketplace? I want to follow the career path, and there's nothing wrong with that. Or do you want to follow the entrepreneurial path? You have to decide and define that. All of us will not start businesses, but all of us will have to work in the business, right? So if you know you don't have the business acumen, but you are more endeared to professional path, there's nothing wrong, all right? So define that. So what path do you want to follow? Is it the entrepreneurial route? Do you want to be the entrepreneur, or you want to be the intrapreneur? You have to define that path from this moment and document these things, all right? This is the question of route. This is the question of path. The fourth question you would need to ask yourself in developing a financial plan is, what resources will aid my arriving there? Now, this is the question of vehicle, all right? This is a question of vehicle. Which vehicle are you going to leverage to move you from point A to point B? Your point A is where you are now. Your point B is where you are going. And then, of course, the path you want to follow will determine which vehicle you are eventually going to be able to embrace. And then number 5 is, when I get there, how do I retain and sustain what I have attained? How do I retain and sustain what I have attained? Now, this is a question of retention. It's a question of retention. And this is so, so crucial. It's a question of retention. Okay? This is very important. This is how you develop the plan, a financial plan for that matter. Okay? Let's move on. Now, I mentioned to you the vehicle. So the fourth question we asked earlier was, what resources will aid you arriving there? Now, there are 4 principal vehicles all wealthy people I know of, I've read about, I've interacted with, either through their materials or personally, are being through these 4 major vehicles. And so if you want to create wealth, regardless of your level of education right now, whether you have certificates or not, whether you have degrees or not, if you embrace these 4 vehicles, you will create massive wealth. You create massive wealth. Now, the choice of vehicle, your choice of vehicle is what determines how early or late you arrive at the wealthy place. Please take note of that. Now, if you live in Lagos, but you have an appointment in Abuja, in Nigeria, and you need to move, you have several options. You could decide to trek. Some people have trekked from Lagos to Abuja in solidarity to past president, all right, in Nigeria, all right? So you can trek. Trekking is an option. It's a vehicle. It's just that you may not arrive, and even if you do, you may not arrive in the same shape and form. That's one vehicle. Number two, you could decide to go with a car or a bus. All right. That's also another vehicle that will take a couple of hours. You could decide to go by train. All right. That's also a means of transportation. You could also decide to go by flight. But listen to me carefully. If you decide to trek, or decide to go by train, or decide to go by flight, or decide to go by a car, which of these people is likely to arrive there first? Can somebody respond to me there? Who will arrive there first? The person trekking, or the person flying, or the person in the rail, or the person in the bus or car? Who will arrive there first? Flying. Excellent. Excellent. Now, the choice of your vehicle has no recourse to your height, to your gender. It has no recourse to your academic qualification. That's not to say that you shouldn't continue to expand and develop yourself or get advanced degrees. No, that's not what I'm saying here. I'm just saying that the choice of vehicle is what determines how early or late you arrive there. And so these four vehicles are the top four. Now, there are several other vehicles that wealthy people have used, but this is one common denominator among wealthy people. The first one you see here is capital markets. Now, I know fully well that either you have heard stories of people who have gotten their fingers burnt because they invested in capital market, or you yourself have lost money investing in capital market. Now, this is a knowledge and information-driven market. So you need sophisticated information, you need sophisticated market, and you need someone who is licensed to trade, to represent you on the floor. So whether you are trading internationally or you are trading nationally, maybe in Nigeria or in the US or in the UK, you need somebody who is licensed to trade. They call them stockbrokers, all right, who have access to, timely information and help you make quality decisions in your purchases. And then whenever you are looking at capital market, think long-term. Now, this is not a short-term vehicle at all. It's a long-term vehicle, all right? And this is very important. And there are many, many things I cannot go into because I also played in this sector, for many years. Okay. The second vehicle that you may want to begin to consider is business. Starting a business or, co-investing in a business. I was listening to a mentor of mine who said in 2003, when he started his business, he reached out to a friend of his and said to him, loan me or invest in my business, just invest $42,000. And he promised that his friend and said, see, every year you'll be getting 7% of this money for as long as this money remains with us. He said, but I will buy, whenever I'm ready, I will buy this ownership back from you 10 times the value. He said, I will buy it back from you. And then it was at the time he was sharing it, he was saying that he bought it over just last year. All right, but that is after his friend had collected 7%. Now, the friend was not the one running the business, but the friend was making 7% every year. But now he has bought back that share. He has bought back the part of that ownership from his friend 10 times what the person contributed. So he gave the guy $420,000, right? Even though the friend had also earned 7% every other year. The point I'm trying to make is, you may not be the founder of the business, but you can co-found the business. You can be a passive player in a business without necessarily being the one running it. And there's a whole lot. So if you have chosen the career path, nothing stops you from still being a part owner of a business, right? This is very, very important. But again, make sure you tighten the documentation, make sure that legal contract and all of those things. So if you are going to also run the business, note fully well that you must have the acumen, you must have the expertise, and you must also surround yourself with a lot of experts. Now, that is not the purpose of this lecture. I'm just letting you know that it's one of the fastest way. In fact, in my opinion, nothing can make you quickly blow and excel like business. And let me also warn you up front, nothing can also crash you faster like business. All right, so you need appetite for taking risk. All right, so you need a stomach for risk. Number 3 is intellectual property. Now, whether you've been able to create a particular solution for a business, or maybe you have created you developed a software, or a software that you can even white label, and other people can sell it, and then they'll be paying you a certain fee. These are ways by which you can. And guess what? If you also written a book, for example, this is Financial Freedom Master Guide. This is my book. I wrote it once, but it keeps giving me income every month without fail. Every month. I don't need to go and rewrite it again. Now this book keeps giving me income. Guess what? This book is the one I self-published. Then this other one is what you find on Amazon. All right. Now Amazon will sell this book, will distribute it to anybody that places order for this book on Amazon, will get anywhere they are in the world. And guess what? Amazon will pay me 70% of the revenue, and then they will hold on to 30%. But they will also help me deliver it wherever anybody is, anywhere in the world. What's the point I'm trying to make? You can write a book. By writing a book, by creating a course, by creating the product, intangible products, you can also patent that, you can copyright it, and that will be giving you, that's intellectual property. Not everybody was able to play in that space, but imagine that you also find the solution and the cure to HIV. Imagine you find the cure to cancer, right? You automatically a multi-billionaire. WHO will start looking for you all around. Is that correct? All the governments of the world, all the presidents of the world will want to engage with you. Is that not correct? Right? Why? Because you have found a cure to a major problem. The fourth vehicle, I love this vehicle a lot for a number of reasons, and it is called real estate. Listen to me carefully. One of the key reasons why I love real estate is the fact that of all these vehicles, it is one vehicle that does not only create wealth, it is also a vehicle that helps you to retain your wealth. It's not only a vehicle that helps create wealth, but also helps you to retain wealth. All right. And one of the reasons why I love real estate is the fact that no matter what it is that you do, no matter the industry in which you play, real estate is the only real investment. And even when there is a tsunami, real estate continues to appreciate in value. And there are many, many facts I can supply you. Maybe in another course, I'll share with you some of the critical ingredients that can help you succeed with real estate. But you also don't need too much effort on your part. It is one thing that does not require effort to continue to appreciate in value, and can continue to, if you know how to optimize it well, it can continue to put money in your purse and continue to grow and appreciate in value. So real estate is very, very, very powerful. If you want to create wealth and you want to preserve your wealth, embrace real estate. You know, one other thing I must mention here, capital market can crash, business can go bankrupt, right? Intellectual property, not everybody can even play in there. So every time you make money elsewhere, make sure you use real estate, not only to continue to create more money, but also to preserve it. So if you want to accelerate your journey to financial freedom, don't joke with these four vehicles. But in all your choosing, don't ignore real estate. That's my recommendation. It does not matter the country and the nation in which you're operating from, don't ignore real estate. And there is a there's a piece of real estate that fits your pocket. As your income improves, just yesterday, I still had a chat with a very good friend of mine, and he said over the last few years, he has ignored anything investment. He said, but he's beginning to see, he decided to focus on building his business. Right now, what he's looking at is how he will begin to use a significant portion of his income, to begin to grow portfolio of real estate assets. And he reached out to me for counsel. And I told him he shouldn't worry, that we will develop a proper plan, and I will give him advice on what and direction he should go. All right, so you may want to go into land banking, which is a very powerful vehicle. You can go into land banking. Land banking basically means you bank your money in land. So rather than keep it in the bank, you keep the money in land. You convert your savings into landed properties. And this, listen, the most valuable asset on earth is earth in itself. All right. So don't joke with that. Don't joke with real estate. And then you can also consider buying properties off plan. All right, because that also gives you a lot of advantages, because by the time a property is fully developed, the value of the property can never be the same anymore. So if you buy the property while it's under construction or before construction, you are going to be tapping into a lot, in that process. So let's take note of that. Now, I mentioned to you the ABC. The first one is financial intelligence. The second one is financial planning. And we've been able to wrap up with the vehicles. The next important ingredients and requirement, if you want to create wealth, is financial discipline. And in simple terms, financial discipline is doing what you need to do when you need to do it, even when you don't feel like doing it. And this is very important. That you can afford it does not mean you should buy it. All right? That you have the money to buy it doesn't mean you should buy it. So financial discipline will help you to postpone gratification. It will help you to design a budget and stick to it. Financial discipline will help you to avoid distractions and impulse purchases. So everything that looks good on other people will also necessarily mean it's timely for you. All right? Financial discipline will help you design and establish mechanism to control your spending. For example, I, for one, I don't do cash transactions. Cash does not stay in my hand. I restrict myself to paying with my card and with my, with transfers. All right. That way I have record of what, so anything that cannot be transferred, right, will not, and I have accounts that money, before you can draw money from that account, you have to travel to the bank and queue. So these are mechanisms. Some of us, you say you have a savings account, and that savings account, you have a debit card. You have online access to that account, and you call it savings account. Why won't you spend it? You spend it, right? So these are the key things that financial discipline will do for you. Number 5, financial discipline will help you avoid the bandwagon effect. That everybody is doing it does not make it right. In fact, let me tell you this. Many years ago, I came to this conclusion that if you want to make a decision, find out what majority of people are doing. Do the direct opposite. You are most likely going to be right. So financial discipline helps you to avoid the bandwagon effect. Several years ago, and this was several years ago now, some of my mentees came around me and said, "Sir, this your suit needs a change." Nobody will even think that you have even traveled anywhere in the world and all of those things. "Sir, change this your suit." I said, "Is the suit complaining?" Right? I said, "I maintain my suit well. The suit is well maintained. There's nothing is wrong with it. If you are tired of it, then replace it." So now I'm not saying that you should not treat yourself well, you should not look good. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that you don't follow bandwagon effect. Number 6, financial discipline helps you to avoid pleasing people at the expense of your financial future. It was this great man who said, Bill Cosby, he was the one who said when he was interviewed, the pressman asked him, "What is the secret of success?" He replied by saying, he said he may not be able to tell them the secret of success, but he can tell them the secrets to failure. And he said, if you want to fail effortlessly, labor so hard to please people. You will fail effortlessly. So my people, when you develop financial discipline, the discipline to do what you need to do when you need to do it, even when you don't feel like doing it, what will happen is that you will not necessarily please people. People will term you, they will name you, they will christen you different things. And people who don't have personal relationship with you will give you all sorts of names. So you must be comfortable with people giving you fake names and bad names. All right? What must be paramount to you is that it must protect your financial future. And number 7, when you develop financial discipline, it will also help you to avoid playing into the trap of what will people think or what will people say. This is so important. This is so critical. So you want to create wealth, don't ignore financial intelligence. Invest in buying books. Invest in, this month alone, I've bought like 7 books. Now, each of these books has cost me about $200, right? I mean, you can't rise beyond your level of information. There's no two way about it. Any area of your life. Last year, I read over 100 books. And I can tell you for free, this year, I've consumed more than 200 audio programs, video programs, all sorts, but in a specific field, because there's an area of my business that I really, really wanted to gain mastery. So I'm investing heavily in that direction and developing my capacity. So you must invest in knowledge. Don't joke with it. Someone said that if you want to hide anything from a black man, he said, hide it in a book. He will not read it. Let that not be you. Let that not be you. Let that not be you. Okay? If you want, see, the man who does not read has no advantage over the man who cannot read. So if you have enough intelligence, but you don't read, you went to school, but you don't read, you are not different from somebody who did not go to school and cannot read. So what will give you the edge amongst your peers is your level of knowledge. So please make it a priority. Invest in knowledge. All right? This is so critical. By the way, for those of you who had my story in the beginning, it was very, very rough. It was very, very bad. There was a time in my family where if even the house help of our neighbor was one that supplied us, two cups or so, 2 kilograms of rice for us to be able to eat that particular day. Now, I like to tell some of those stories so that you can know that, well, I'm not talking from a place of somebody who did not go through it, right? So when they say, oh, some people were not born with silver spoon, I don't think I was born with any spoon at all. So I didn't have wooden spoon. I didn't have bronze spoon. I had no spoon at all, right? But through the things I shared with you, now because principles make life predictable, right? And so the things I've shared with you are exact same principles I followed. And by the special grace of God, this is my story. Today, by the grace of God, by every standard, anywhere in the world, I'm a multi-millionaire in dollars, in any currency of the world, by any standard. So I'm not coming here to come and intimidate anybody, but I need to let you know this is one of the real estate projects that we delivered. I've hosted several conferences, master classes. I've honored many speaking engagements around the world. All right. This is the project I'm talking about. It's a 31 unit of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments, completely sold out and delivered. This is another project. We have well over 26 different projects. We have several projects that are even running right now, and this is the story of someone who was broke, who broke people called broke. And like I often say humorously, if broke people call you broke, who are you? You're a broker. You're a broker, okay? And this is me. This is my story. This is who I am. This is who I've become. This is who people can see now, and they want to associate with me, right? But what are the exact things that brought me here are the same things I just shared with you. I just handed over to you, right? Today, I mentor hundreds of people, in making critical decisions, whether it's in their business, whether it's in their finances, whether it's in their family life, and all of those things. And this is me. These are some of my mentors. This is Mr. Leke Alda. This is Nia Desoya. This is Dr. Lumide Emmanuel here. And these are some of my mentees, some of the audience, people who have attended our program, who've hosted programs. I've also had the privilege of honoring invitations in Nigeria, in the UK, in the US, in Liberia, in several other countries around the world, all right? And this is me facilitating, speaking in most of these places. So whatever it is I'm going to share with you is something I have practiced, I've lived by. Let me show you some stories that some of the people who have participated in our event have shared. Listen to it. Can you hear it? If you can hear it, please, can you hear it? Oh, you can't hear it. So let me quickly do something. Let me do something very quickly.
My name is Lawrence Adiemi. I'm a financial investor, and I also help people to achieve their financial goals. One of the things that this financial freedom masterclass is very useful for is to open people's eyes to see how well they are doing in their finances and see where they are not doing so well. With a coach like Oladipo Clements, he can put you on the right track It can show you what you're doing right, point out to you what you're doing wrong. And the course has been very impactful. Even as someone who's done well in finance, I can see where, yes, I need to make some changes. There's a lot of improvement to make here and there. And I believe that in a very short space of time, I can cover all those things up, make things work for me. And I believe anyone out there who is interested in taking their finances to the next level needs to plug into a course like this.
Good evening. Today is the 29th of May. The name is Tony Adeyemi. I'm a financial consultant. What I can say about this course is 5 stars. Get this man on speed dial. Thank you very much.
All right. I wouldn't want to play on and on because of our time. Let me play this. Let me see if I can play this.
Francis Ajilore is my name. I was one of the participants of the Financial Freedom Masterclass, January 2020. Prior to that very edition, I had
Sorry, can you hear it?
a very low moment, just like every other person, normal person. We always have our low and high moments. 2019 coming to 2020, I was financially low, one of my lowest moments, especially knowing fully well that I had a feel of something better. So at that point in time, it was very, very low for me. It was so low that during the coaching session, the private coaching session, I broke into tears while talking to OC, and he comforted me and gave me specific guidelines on things to do. A few months down the line, the story turned around. I had good experience, but beyond just having a one-off good experience, the teachings in the course of the series did help me to know what to do on a continual basis to be able to sustain the momentum. I never really wanted to have a low moment as what I had in 2019 and early part of 2020. So the teachings changed my philosophy of not just owning assets, but owning assets that generate steady cash flow. And that was the beginning of a new trajectory for me. One of the key takeaway for me during the Financial Freedom Masterclass was the component of knowing, doing, and becoming. These three components I talked about, it's not just what you do one of, it is what you continue to seek knowledge, which is the knowing component. You continue to do certain things, whatever has brought you up, you continue to do it, and the new things you have also learned, you continue to do them, and you gradually become a newer version of yourself per time. This has helped me revolutionize quite a number of concept ideology around doing business, consistency, and like I said earlier on, there's no room for me down there. It's just up there alone, and all thanks to the Financial Freedom Masterclass. Quite a number of people can quote all the quotables in form and write all the writables, all the points that eat them. But one component is no matter what you know, if you refuse to do them, then it becomes difficult for you to become. More importantly, is that in the course of trying to do all of these things, we all may listen to the same lecture, but our personality differs. And so the way those teachings are being deployed are very critical. That in itself is one thing that's helped my change, my transformation become sustainable. Don't try to be like any other person. All your learnings, there's a way to deploy it with yourself, your personality in view. And with that, the sky is the starting point for every one of us. Thank you.
All right. So just one more second. We'll be wrapping up shortly. All right. So that's the testimony of those who have participated in my programs. Now you can have this course. So this financial freedom course is a full bouquet. When I say full bouquet, it's a full bouquet, and it goes for $247, and or 185,250 naira. All right, so it's very, very robust. You can't go through this kind of course and remain the same ever again. It's impossible. Now, by the special grace of God, this is not my major source of revenue. I'm doing this because I also recognize that when people pay, they pay attention. That's why these courses have been packaged in the way and manner they've been packaged. It's thorough, there's details, and it comes with a whole lot of benefits, which I won't go into right now. Then we have a vision board course, phenomenal material that you just have to get as well. And that goes for $197 or 147,000 naira. Now, guess what? We have the How to Plan Your Life course. This is also another phenomenal course that everyone needs, to have. I often say to people, if you're in business plan is very important. If you want to create wealth, you need financial plan. But listen to me carefully. Having a life plan is way more superior than having a family plan, is way more superior than having a business plan or even a financial plan. Why? Because a life plan is way more holistic and it captures every segment of your life. But you know one thing I have for you. If you take this offer, this is the first time I'm going to be doing this. It's a birthday offer. I'm 42, this year. And so I'm giving to anyone who will be willing to take all this together. It's supposed to be $641 or 480,750 naira, but I'm giving it out for just 42,000 naira. It's a one-time offer. So you have between now and tomorrow, to take advantage of this offer. Right? So it's just 42,000 naira. How do you need to make payments? You can pay into this account by way of transfer. Or if you have an account in the US, you can Zelle that payment, $56. You can Zelle it to this, and then you'll be granted access to these courses. Listen to me carefully. It is not what you know that counts. It's what you do with what you know that matters at the end of the day. All right, so that's where we're going to stop for today. Do we have any question whatsoever? Maybe I can take one or two. All right, so I think